There are a few times where I get to come out and tell you that we are unboxing one of my favorite wheel designs ever made. All right, everyone gets a pass, and nobody's gonna tell me that the Advan RG D2 is not one of the most iconic styles from Advan Racing ever, okay? And if you disagree with me, you're wrong, all right? Hi, I'm Alex, welcome to Martini Works Unbox, and me and you are gonna be unboxing what the RG D2 wheel is gonna come like if you buy a set from martiniworks.com. The reason that we do this is because we don't want you to be surprised when you buy something that, in this case, in this size, 18 by 9.5 plus 22, is gonna run you right around $2,500, which does not include the optional upsell from Advan, which will also get you center caps for an additional $220 or so, which is absolutely insane to me. But this customer decided to let us unbox a set so we can show it in front of you. And of course, to that lucky customer who got center caps, I'm proud of you. All right, now getting back into the basics, the RG D2 is the iconic 6-spoke style, but it does not look like a 6-spoke that you're probably envisioning in your head. Just like every other wheel from Japan, we're going to get a pretty okay packaging job. I'm gonna say it's okay. I'm not gonna say it's great because it only features 4L cardboard cuts, a top cardboard piece, which is double corrugated, which is nice, but it only features one piece of foam to protect your beautiful face that you're gonna see on this wheel. Now, the box itself is very thick. Let me be clear. Those are double corrugated as well, which may not seem like a big deal, but when you're traveling literally across the globe to deliver a set of wheels, you wanna make sure that it's packaged as well as you can. Just like any other Advan wheel, you're gonna get a nice little pamphlet instruction manual that you're not gonna read, because why would you? On the front, you're gonna see that you get your Yokohama wheel, original design. You've got one of their original designs actually right there. Key thing to remember with this wheel, it's not fully forged. You're looking at a one-piece cast flow forming wheel. What that gets you is essentially a nice lightweight barrel, a nice face, but most of the weight savings is going to be in the spoke design on this one. So we're gonna be taking a look at the weight as well as on if it's original wheel design here in just a second. Let's yoink that off here real quick. We're gonna be polite and nice because if I'm not, Dakota might actually murder me. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh! God damn! So there's a couple reasons why this wheel is one of my favorite wheels of all time. Yokohama design, what Advan Racing does with the RG D2 and the TC4 is their insane attention to the concavity that exists on these spokes. This is an 18 9.5 22, and we've unboxed probably about a few hundred wheels in our time of doing this. Nobody really does concavity spoke bending quite like Advan Racing. The design itself is insanely interesting, and it can look iconically good on a bunch of different Japanese vehicles. Now, this can look really good on just about anything, to be fair, as long as it fits. With these ones, I believe, going on an Evo. Now, for me personally, the RG D2 belongs on a set for an FD RX-7. I just think it's an iconic look, but you essentially get all the right details with this wheel. And we're gonna break it down here in just a second. First thing to remember, and I'm gonna say this now, every wheel that you get from Advan Racing, especially this RG D2, you're gonna get a little packet of things right here. Do not throw that box away. It could be hiding in there, and it's gonna have your RG D2 sticker. If you throw your box away and you didn't get your sticker, you're going to be in big, big trouble. Coming back to this, you're gonna see that this comes in a bunch of different sizes, more specifically 15 through 18 inch. In the 15-inch model, you're gonna see widths ranging from 5 to 8 inches in width. That's essentially gonna give you some of that option for the Miata and some of the S2000 stuff and some of the Mini Cooper stuff if you need to. Jumping into the 16-inch, you're gonna see that go from a 5.5-inch width to an 8-inch width. Again, sticking with more of those smaller subcompact sport cars. Now jumping into that 17-inch model, you're gonna see widths from 7-inch to 9 inches wide. And then finally in the 18-inch, this is pretty much the typical size for Advan Racing. You're gonna see this go from a 7.5-inch in width all the way up to a 10-inch in width, and sometimes even past that depending on availability. Now this is a 9.5 22, so you're gonna see a lot of 1/2-inch options out there. The best way I try to consider it is this. If you're looking at a 15 or a 16, most of your options are gonna be 4-lug only. That's gonna be catering to the old Nissan S chassis and of course some of your old Mini Coopers and of course your Mazda Miata. Jumping into the 17 and 18 is where you're gonna see support with the 5-lug, more specifically the 5x114.3, When you get into the 18 inches is really where you're gonna see the options kind of spread out to the 5x112, the 5x120, the 5x100 in some cases, but we will put a full list of what's available with the RGD2 on the screen right now so that you know if you're gonna be able to buy a set of these or not. But what about the offset? Smaller stuff like the 15 inch, you're gonna see in a plus 35 to a plus 45. Again, higher offset, so you're not gonna see a ton of lip or a ton of concavity, but it's still gonna be very aggressive just considering how the spoke design is done on this one. When you go up to the 16 and 17 inch models, you're typically gonna see that 30 to 45 offset, and the 18 inch model is gonna expand that a little bit more to the 20 to 38. This one being a 22 fits into that range. I know there's some availability on the plus 15, but we're just not quite confident enough to talk about that because the plus 15 was a really popular offset size in the 10.5 for a while, especially on the Evo platform, but it's just not as supported as much as it once was. The 18 9.5 22 though is very well supported and it meets a lot of different vehicle fitments. This thing looks insane. Now with the RG D2, you are gonna get 3 different concavity profiles. With the wider the wheel and the lower the offset, you're gonna get a deeper concavity profile. They have some really fun names for it, but the 3 profiles can really be considered down to the diameter, the width, and the offset. Really, you're gonna see the 3 profiles only existing on the 18 inch. The 18 inch model has the 3 concavity profiles, standard, GTR, and super GTR. And there are other wheel widths and diameters that may offer 2 profiles or 1 depending on the range of widths that are offered with the RGD2. What I can say is most people that are looking at this wheel, you're probably looking at an 18 inch. So the wider the wheel, the more of a chance you have with the concavity profile being deeper. If you have questions on which one you're probably gonna snag depending on the size, width, and offset, just shoot us a message at martiniworks.com and we would be happy to help you out. So for everything from a 15x5 all the way up to an 18x11, the 6-spoke is gonna have pretty much everything that you need. You have side spoke cut machining, you have an outer rim that's machined by the diamond cutting blade, everything except the semi-gloss black finish. The color variation, you're pretty much looking at machining with a hyper racing black, you get machining and the black gun metallic, or you get the machining with a champagne gold and a semi-gloss black. But really the finishes are going to be a little bit more modest than something you would see from something like Work. Although I will say that this wheel does not need to be any louder than it already is. Now, I'm gonna show you something that's not offered from Advan out of the factory, and unfortunately, it's just something that we're gonna have to put up with until we yell at them enough. That is this beautiful little piece, which is the center cap. The center caps from a lot of Japanese wheel manufacturers just simply aren't included. Why they aren't included are a range of different reasons. Some people will say it's not included because it needs to be a race-oriented wheel, and race-oriented wheels don't have center caps. Unfortunately, I don't know if I entirely believe that. I think this is just one of those situations where they never really came with them when they were started, and they just don't to this day. All right, so this is what the center cap looks like, and quite honestly, I would say that this wheel deserves it. Now, for the price, you would hope that maybe it would be included, and unfortunately, it's not. And because this is a super huge moment, we're gonna leave this for the customer to install. Something to keep in mind is that you are gonna see that it's got some, what I'll probably call lubricating grease to help install this, because this is essentially what feels like a metal, and that is metal as well, which means if you're not careful, you might end up scratching it. Here's what I will say though, definitely worth it. It is an added price. I wish we could include it. Unfortunately, we tried that before and then we got yelled at. Now, in terms of pricing, the 15 inch is gonna be anywhere from right around $285 to $340 a piece. That's gonna put you at about a touch above $1,100 to $1,300 for a 15 inch. If you're jumping into the 16 or 17, you're gonna start to see that price go up by about 70 bucks a wheel or $250-ish, which means the 16 inch is anywhere from $356 to $400, and then the 17 inch is gonna be anywhere from $400 to $450. Now this is an 18 9.5 22. This one costs a full set of 4 right around $2,500. So you are gonna see this mostly compared to the Work Emotion ZR10. Maybe the Kiwami is actually gonna be a little bit more of an affordable option for you in the grand scheme of things. It's gonna be more expensive than Graham Lights, but it is going to be cheaper than a Volk, which is a fully forged one-piece wheel. Quite honestly, this has a weird place in the market from a pricing standpoint, but it is a very very killer wheel. In terms of the design, you might be asking yourself, is this an original wheel design? Is this an inspired by design? Or is this a replica wheel design? And what we can say with confidence is that the RG D2 is an original wheel design. This wheel design has been around for enough time for us to give it that claim. Plus, the RG D2 is heavily used in motorsport overseas. It's one of the most common wheels that you'll actually see. Now that we talked about all the technical specifications and how much it costs and the fact that center caps don't come with it and it comes in some pretty fun colors, let's talk about the design itself. You're gonna see that it has a nice machined lip. It's gonna make the face of the wheel really pop. The second thing, which is really hard to capture on camera, is just how incredible this paint finish is. I don't know what it is with wheels from Japan, but when it comes down to styles and when it comes down to just overall finish, this thing absolutely crushes it. It looks so freaking good. The sparkle, the clear, all of it is insane, and the level to detail all the way around the wheel is literally 10 out of 10. And you can see that because as you look in this upper corner, you're gonna see that the JWL and VIA is actually stamped into the lip of the wheel. Go a couple spokes over and you're gonna see the Advan Racing and the Flow Forming Japan-made logos are right there. If you run your finger over it, you're gonna notice that, my good friends, looks to be a sticker of some kind. Now, you're gonna have to be careful with that, quite honestly. What I've seen a lot of people do is they end up ceramic coating these to kind of keep them looking nice and fresh. I would highly recommend it. On the back, you get the old Yokohama original wheel design stamp here. You get the sizes, you get all the good stuff, including when it was actually made. And of course, you get a nice little Japan sticker. Something to keep in mind here, JWL and VIA tested are good. Advan takes their wheels a steps further and gets them tested past that point, which means you are getting a hell of a wheel, and it's very, very strong. On the back pad here, you're gonna notice that there's not a whole lot of extra back pad, and that is because of how many molds Advan uses to create the RG D2 in its various sizes. We've talked about this in the past, and it's a little bit different when you're buying from Martini Works because we want you to know all the right information. A lot of times when you offer a bunch of different sizes in a wheel, the way that a lot of manufacturers will save cost is by not having as many molds. But if you still want to give people a lot of different options and offsets, you do that by adding a big chunk of metal back here on your back pad. As you shave this down or up, it allows you to keep the same mold or the look or the concavity design on the front, but you still get the offset difference back here. It gives a lot of freedom to essentially make wheels that can be offered in a bunch of different sizes, but the sacrifice is to you, the person who's spending $2,500 on a set of wheels. One of the big reasons why these wheels cost a little bit more is because companies like Advan, Work, and a lot of times Volk, Rays, Graham-Lights, name the brand, most of them do this, is they don't cut corners on the mold quantity that they use to generate these styles, which means an 18.9.5 plus 22 looks more concave and probably is than most other wheels because they are maximizing the design element of this mold to its up 10th potential by not letting us use any of this back pad. You still get the back pad cutouts to save a little bit of weight, but that means on the front, you get this incredibly gorgeous 6-spoke design. The spokes are bowed all the way out to give a ton of big brake clearance. And on top of that, you have this side pocket milling happening on all the spokes to shave as much weight as they possibly can without losing any sort of structural integrity to the wheel. Quite honestly, this is a lot of information for a $2,500 wheel, and you might be asking yourself, Alex, why do I need to know all this? And the answer is because it's a damn good wheel. And likely you might be spending your time waiting around for this wheel to show up from Japan, and you need to know if it's worth it or not. And to me, I personally think it is. The RG D2 is one of my favorite wheel designs to ever come from Advan, and there's a good reason for it. It doesn't look like anything else. Everybody thinks that the 6-spoke design cannot be done again. The TE37 has somehow coined that design, and anything else that only has 6 spokes is a replica design, and that is just simply not true. Advan's response to that claim is the RG D2, and by far and in large, I would argue that this wheel has more design element and has a little bit more style than the TE37. The only thing the TE is gonna beat it with is the fact that it's a one-piece forged wheel, but it is also double the price. What I can say, if you're looking at picking up a set like this, you are going to love it, as long as you can stomach the fact that it does cost a little bit more, and you're gonna have to buy your center caps separately if you want them. With that being said, we are gonna weigh it, and of course, I'm gonna throw it on the roller so you can see what it looks like. Let me know in the comments on if you love this wheel as much as I do. Let's see, 18.9.5 plus 22 is going to come in at 20.1 pounds. Not bad at all. That's a pretty good weight for an 18.9.5 22, I will say, which is good considering it's still flow formed and not fully forged. Last but not least, let's see what this thing looks like on the roller. Ready? 1, 2. Now, obviously, a part of me wants to put the center cap in so badly, but we're gonna leave that up to the customer. I do wanna say thank you so much for letting us take a look at this before we shipped it off to you. And of course, if you are picking something up from martiniworks.com, we may ask you to do the same. But let us know your thoughts on these wheels. And if you're looking for an RG D2 or an Advan racing wheel, or plus the 1,000 others that we have over at martiniworks.com, go check out the website. We have all of it. We also offer free shipping. And if you're looking to balance it with tires, we can also do that for you as well, so that all you have to do when you get the wheel and tire package at your door, simply throw it on the car. I'm Alex Martini. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about the wheel, and we will see you next time.